You think you own the cat? They wrote that script. Hey, you have the cat goddess of home, fertility, and warfare, which is basically all the moods your cat cycles through in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, they were exempt from labor, kept as palace pets, and treated to feasts while commoners were dying of heat stroke building obelisks. At this point, you're not even pretending to be in charge. You've invented religion and irrigation, but your cat just invented couch rights and midnight screeching rituals. It hasn't changed. You have. Your entire civilization is adapting around their nap schedule, and you think you own the cat. Buddy, they wrote the ownership contract. In your sleep, with your pen, you're wearing linen now, worshipping sun gods, and suddenly, you're carving feline statues into your tomb walls. In ancient Egypt, cats didn't just share homes, they shared souls. If you killed one, it was a crime worthy of execution. Some families mummified their cats, others shaved their eyebrows in mourning. So next time your cat knocks your phone into the toilet, remember their ancestors were literally worshipped for doing less. And don't pretend they didn't know it, everyone. Today's video is about how cats, yes, cats, have been playing 4D chess with humanity for over 9,000 years, and we still haven't caught on. You're shuffling through a dusty archaeological site in Cyprus. It's hot, your socks are damp. And you're pretending you can tell pottery shards from pebbles. Suddenly, Bamacat's skeleton is found buried next to a human. And not just tossed there, but deliberately interred with care. It's like family. And here's the kicker. This burial is over 9,500 years old. That's before pyramids, before writing, before people invented chairs that weren't logs. So you blink and think, wait, were we already emotionally attached back then? Yes, you were. See, cats didn't just slink into human settlements, they targeted them. Picture this, you've settled down, figured out grain farming, and now you've got granaries. With granaries come rodents. With rodents come wildcats. And instead of bolting when they see you, these cats just sit, stare, blink slowly. And your brain primitive but squishy interprets that as trust. You toss them a fishbone. The cat doesn't thank you. It never will, but it stays. Fast forward a few centuries and the cats haven't evolved much. Ancient Egyptians told stories of Bastet. You're a lowly peasant in a medieval village. Your day starts and ends with back-breaking labor. But there's one thing that makes life bearable. The warm, fuzzy body of your cat, Mittens, curled up beside you in bed. Ah, bliss. Till one night you wake to an unearthly screech, claws on wood, and then the roof collapses. We scramble outside in your nightshirt, coughing up splinters and cat fur. What the hell just happened? And why is Thomas from across the street dragging his unconscious wife inside? Don't worry, he says. Just a bit of roof rot. And besides, you've got bigger problems. You need to get to the bishop before sunrise. He's going to hear your confession. You've committed a sin, a mortal one, and only God can forgive you now. So you trudge through the village, past the butcher shop, past the tannery, past the well where you drew water this morning. You can't stop thinking about how thirsty you are. Finally, you burst through the doors of the nearest church. Father Anselm, please, I need to confess my sins. Yes, speak freely. Here goes nothing. Okay, well, first off, I gossiped about Agnes and Edgar down there. Then I took an extra piece of bread during the Lord's Supper. And then I killed a cat. What? Why did you kill a cat? 'Cause it hissed at me. But we're all sinners here, aren't we? Yes. We all have our burdens to bear. Go in peace. You almost feel relieved until you hear the next morning's sermon. Today's Gospel, Matthew 25:45. Then they also will answer, saying, Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Uh-oh, was that about the cat? You slink out of the church and bump right into Thomas from across the street? How's your wife doing? Oh, she's fine. Those confessions, they don't mean a hill of beans. What was that? Nothing. Never mind. Haha. I thought I was so clever, right? Killing a harmless cat just because it hissed at me? Who does that? You want to know who that is? The devil? Yeah, he works through cats. You better watch your back. Soon enough, you're staring down a barrel. A gun, I'm sorry. A crossbow. Never mind. But seriously, it could happen. It didn't take long for people to forget about witches and turn their attention to cats. After all, they're easy to blame. They hiss, they scratch, they disappear into the night, leaving behind only a faint scent of brimstone. Maybe I should get out of here. So here's the rule. If you ever find yourself alone in a room with a cat and you hear an ominous crash, then immediately look under the bed. And there's a chance you are, in fact, alone in that room. A few hundred years later, Romans built cat cafes where weary citizens could sip wine and pet a furry friend. In medieval Europe, cats took on new significance. They became familiars, partners in witchcraft. Now, whether these cats had any real power over their human companions, or whether that was just what people believed, is difficult to say. Why do you think cats dominate every platform? They're not trying. They just are. You record them doing literally nothing, just sitting in a shoebox, and suddenly they have brand deals. Cousin Sarah's doing 3 side hustles to pay rent. But Mr. Floof gets free gourmet kibble because he once blinked into a sunset. Fair no? Effective? Very. And let's not ignore your friends. You don't invite people over without asking the cat first. You don't date someone who isn't a cat person. Your vacation plans, decided by the availability of a cat sitter. Remember when you could just leave town? Now you're re-explaining dietary restrictions to your neighbor, like you re-handing over a nuclear briefcase. In every measurable way, cats have achieved world domination, not through war or politics or brute strength. Through comfort. Through silence. Through that one raised eyebrow that says, "Try it, and I'll pee in your shoe." They waited thousands of years, got burned at stakes, falsely accused, exiled, and ignored, damned, still came back, not to beg, but to nap in your laundry. And now they own the house. You just pay the bills. But cats, as ambivalent and aloof as they are, were now figures of power. Let the chaos of history fade behind the soft, rhythmic hum of a purring feline. Imagine you're curled up in a dim-lit room, the air still, the world quiet. Outside, maybe the wind nudges the windows, but inside, there's only that warmth pressed against your ribs. That slow blink that says, "You exist to serve me and I allow it." Let that truth settle like velvet. They didn't conquer us with force. They did it by being exactly what they are and letting us think we were in control. And as such, they became targets. During the early modern period, cats were accused of being witches' accomplices and subsequently executed. Between 1478 and 1576, the Swiss city of Basel alone executed more than 300 cats by burning. There's a very good chance the crash was the cat knocking something over. But no matter how sure you are that you heard a crash, you still check under the bed because that's what you do. And the reason you do it is because centuries ago, our ancestors domesticated felines and selectively bred them for cuteness and silence. You rearranged your entire living room because whiskers didn't tee like the Mirror S energy. Your guest room is now the scratching post annex. You use a baby voice with actual inflection to speak to them, and you apologize when you run out of treats. You who survived late-stage capitalism and 5 rent hikes are afraid to move because the cat's sleeping on your lap. And it's not just behavioral manipulation, it's neurological. Studies show their purring frequency stimulates healing in bones. Yeah, cats basically radiate healing powers while judging your fashion choices. Meanwhile, they mimic baby cries to get your attention. Their pitch, their timing, it's not random, it's evolved. They found your weakness, and they weaponized it. And so when you hear that crash, you think, I must be misremembering things. There are no big cats skulking around my house, especially not under the bed. And then the cat looks up at you slowly blinking, and you realize, wait, it was the cat. In 1290 BCE, Egyptian pharaohs erected temples in their honor and declared cats sacred. Fast forward to now, you're sprawled on the couch in your overpriced apartment. Your landlord hasn't fixed the faucet in 4 months, but the algorithm knows you want another video of a cat dramatically falling off a windowsill, and you watch it again and again and again. That cat is more famous than the last 5 US presidents combined, and you're laughing with crumbs on your shirt. Congratulations, the domination is complete. Because here's the reality, you don't control your cat. You don't even cohabitate. You orbit them. But the psychological warfare doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the internet. So now, just for a moment, slow everything down.